It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles.
Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Happy to be with you. I'm Jeff Parles, the Hall of Famer. Gone Gaming, South Point Sportsbook. Our guy Vinny Magliulo alongside.
Good morning.
Is there anything going on today?
There's a couple of things happening. I think there's a couple of games happening that lots of people have an interest in, and we're going to walk folks right through. Jeff, good to be with you, buddy.
It's good to be with you, too, of course, live at the South Point Studio. As you can see behind us, people are already in line, ready to go, getting their bets in for week 2 of the college football slate. And, Vinny, before we get into a whole collection of games, and there's nearly 100 you can bet on today in college football, so we won't hit all of them in an hour, but we'll hit as many as we can.
Sure.
And Vinny, just going into this week, we'll get to this game a little bit later, but we're going to see a lot of Pro v. Joe games today, especially one right out of the chute at 9 o'clock in the morning here on the West Coast.
There's no question about it. This is a game everybody's talking about and has been talking about. Yeah, Nebraska at Colorado, of course, last week. Colorado, look, full disclosure, that the bettors, they stormed in on Colorado last week, not only taking the points against TCU, but on the money line as well. So the volume of the reaction of the fans typically tells you who the house needs, and that was a classic example of it. So hey, listen, great for the folks there, and a big turnaround here, right? On the look ahead, this was a game where Nebraska was a pretty significant favorite, 7 in some spots, and got bet up. Now you have a game here where Nebraska opens up as an underdog. We actually opened it lower, but there were spots. We opened at 3, and with the Colorado as favored. So you think about that. That's a huge turnaround after 1 week, and now Colorado favored, and the ultimate game where professionals are siding with Nebraska in this game. The public is all over the Buffaloes, as they were last week. Game opened as high as 5 in some spots. Nebraska got the early action, but now it's in the last couple of days. And as we speak, it's all about the Buffs.
We'll get more on this as we go along through the show. I am going to say this. I did not play this game at all, even though I get why the public is on Colorado, the shiny new object.
Yeah.
And I understand why the Sharps are on Nebraska. I understand both sides of the coin here.
Well, I think, when you break down last week's games, and full credit goes to Deion Sanders and the job that he's done so far. Let's remember, he was still signing kids, given the transfer portal aspect that we live with today. He was signing kids a month ago, 5 weeks ago, and here he is with a big win. Last week against TCU, and now Nebraska loses a tough one, a heartbreaker, to Minnesota last week. So I can understand the public's reaction, and look, that's what makes it so exciting.
Again, also, we'll just finish up this game. Actually, Vinny, total for this as well. Opened pretty high. Opened pretty high. Now is down as well, 57 right now.
Yeah, opened about 60, and I think the total, which I think as we get closer to kickoff, the public loves to bet overs, right? I mean, public loves to root for points. I've often said, where people, you get those chants of defense. Well, they're lying. They want offense. The total has come down, as you mentioned initially, but I think that's a byproduct of Nebraska's defense, really, right? And the fact that they'll probably want to run the ball and try to control the line of scrimmage more so. And TCU got away from that last week. They were having great success with it, and they got away from it in the fourth quarter. So not a real surprise that the total has come down 3 points, but I do believe that there'll be some over money, particularly with parlays, as we get closer to kickoff.
All right, let's go to Raleigh. This is rotation number 303 and 304. By the way, Colorado, Nebraska rotation number 317 on Nebraska, yes. 318 on the Buffs. But let's go to 303 and 304 here in your Nevada rotation numbers. And this is a noon Eastern, 9 o'clock in the morning on the Pacific. time zone for this one. Notre Dame goes to Raleigh. The Irish 2-0 on the year, of course, beating up Tennessee State a week ago, destroying Navy over in Ireland in week 0. Now a real test against a team that Vinny kind of looked like they were in a look-ahead spot a week ago in West Hartford, where they struggled against UConn. UConn covered the number pretty easily. And that's NC State. NC State's a 7-point underdog now. You guys just moved from 7.5, the last one in the market, to 7 on the Wolfpack, getting the points from Notre Dame. Total, you guys are sitting at 49 right now, which is actually market low, Vinny.
Yeah, and this is a total that's come down a couple of points, right? When you're looking at it at 49, Jeff, we did open it at 51, 7.5, toggling back and forth, right? We did toggling, yes, toggling. I know you love that word. That's so laying. Folks are laying Notre Dame at 7. They're taking 7.5 with the home team, the Wolfpack here in this case, and we don't move the money on it here. And so, and what I mean by that, Jeff, is you'll see 7 with money out there, either 7 minus 15, minus 20 on Notre Dame, and perhaps even plus 7 and even on NC State. Just a matter of philosophy. It's not a critique. Some people like to move the money on the key numbers of 3 and 7 in this case. But here at South Point, we'll if it needs to move, we'll move it, and just hope it doesn't fall.
Well, I mean, at 7.5. NC State seems pretty good to me. Even at 7, I'm okay with it. Again, you obviously have your more push potential. This is going to be one of those, Vinny, and in-game wagering is such a big thing now. And you guys will here at the book behind us, there will be select games up for in-game wagering today. I would imagine Notre Dame and NC State will be one of them. Yes,
especially it's an early game. And I'm glad you brought that up, Jeff, because let's talk a little bit about in-game and what it means. And, for the folks who may be new to it, obviously, perhaps whether you have a bet on the game or you don't, you have the opportunity to wager on adjusted point spreads as the game progresses. And so for folks that want to follow it, there's some places, some shops have in-game constantly, right? We prefer to do it on breaks. I mean, there are delays with signals and things like that. Plus, it's easier. There's a little bit more for a commercial break. Certainly quarters. Obviously, at halftime, every game has a first half and a halftime wager as well. So the opportunity presents itself to have in-game wagering. And if you're going to bet the game in-game, I definitely recommend watching the game to see what's happening so that you can follow it and make your a more well-informed decision.
There are a few games I'm targeting today. This is one of them, especially if it's apparent that NC State's defense can hang in against Notre Dame's offense, which the expectation for me is they will be able to. But look, and there are plenty of things to look at when you're betting in-game, and one of those short field touchdowns, when looking to bet unders. There are a lot of angles you could be looking at, and I'll be seeing if NC State's defense can hang in the game. And if they can, I'll probably be taking a bet on NC State.
And you'll be watting it and keeping track.
I mean, how could I not? Look at the book behind me. We have a great setup here in the South Point studio as well. There's a lot of great places to watch the game here at the South Point, at least for myself. All right, Vinny. Let's go to 307-308, and we'll be very quick on this game.
Yeah.
One of the biggest lines of the day. Number 1, Georgia hosting Ball State. The trip from Muncie to Athens. 42.5 right now, and this is one of those heavy correlated ones, Vinny.
Yeah.
42.5, Georgia's laying it, and the total's only 52.5.
Yeah, this is listen, if you like Georgia, you love the over, right? If you like the dog, you're hoping for the under. But again, not a lot to talk about here. Hey, listen, there's a lot of great interconference games today. This ain't one of them.
It's not.
But you mentioned it. Holding steady, 42. Georgia here looking for the three-peat, obviously for the national championship. And just the total hasn't moved much either.
Yeah, I have absolutely nothing on this game. No. And like Vinny said, heavy correlated game where if it's a line like this where the total is so close to the spread, usually favored and over, or dog and under, usually in those spots. All right, let's keep it here on the 3:30 Pacific game for this one. 3:11, 3:12, so 6:30 Eastern time at The old Heinz Field, now Acrisure Stadium, still Heinz to me.
Yes.
Pitt and Cincinnati, geographical matchup, non-conference matchup. The Bearcats, Vinny, are 7-point underdogs at Pitt. 44.5 is the total. This is another one that has toggled a little bit during the week. Hit 7.5, opened 7.5, went back to 7.5 on 2 days ago, and now has stayed steady at 7 with a total of 44.5.
Yeah, the total's moved more than the side, Jeff, as you mentioned. So 46.5 on the total, down to 44.5 here. Holding pretty steady at 7. Pretty good two-way betting action game. I want to also point out just a sidebar here, because what we try to do is educate folks too. Because a lot of times people ask why we say and do certain things. You're mentioning the rotation numbers, and they're out of sequence in terms of times, right? So the rotation number is the number to the left of the teams on the betting schedule.
When you go to the window, that's
when
the number
you go
need.
to the window, you don't necessarily. In the case of this game here, I want to bet Cincinnati. You want to bet 311 and Cincinnati 4x, or you want to bet 312 Pitt. So that is the number that's entered into the computer system. Now, why is the number different? Why aren't they in chronological order or time? Because the time adjustments come out after the schedule is made, after this particular schedule, after the rotation is made. And again, when people are talking about in our world in betting, it's about the rotation. The times we can adjust the time. Bettors adjust to the times, and so the betting number is the reason the BI short for betting interest number is what we go by. That is the rotation. Little quick story. Years ago, when I first got in this business, there were multiple rotations, so people would go to different shops and different casinos.
It wasn't a uniform.
It was not a uniform.
Oh, my goodness.
The rotation, there were competitors for the rotation, and there were several out there, and it did not become a unified betting rotation until probably the early 90s. So
that's ridiculous.
Oh, it was a nightmare. It was ridiculous. A nightmare. Yeah, you had not only we've got our betting sheets. You had to have multiple betting sheets just to keep track of rotation numbers.
So of course, the Barbary Coast, where where basically everyone at this book has been at one point or another back in the day, would have a different number from the MGM Grand.
Well, when we opened the Barbary in 1979, when Michael Gaughan opened it, we had a rotation. There was no MGM. The MGM Grand actually was across the street where Bally's is.
Exactly.
But if you went to Caesar's Palace across the street,
different number.
It was a different rotation. So it was pretty interesting. We had more numbers then than we could keep track of.
See, I think both of us are showing our age.
A little bit of history, for folks. The folks like the history, and but that's the reason for the why. When we talk about games, we're always we're referring to the BI numbers, and again, times we can adjust.
It's all I will say is it is much better. It's all uniform.
Trust me when I tell you, from both sides of the counter, yes,
much better. All right, let's. So big opportunity for an interstate game here. James Madison, Virginia, 3:13, 3:14, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific here. Vinny, we're bringing this one up because it is the group of 5 favored at a Power 5, and correctly so, at least for me. James Madison, if they were eligible for a bowl game last year, would have been in one. Still not eligible because of silly NCAA rules from going up from FCS to FBS. The Dukes, you guys actually are the market low right now on the Dukes at 6, with a total of 40 here. James Madison favored in Charlottesville.
This one here, Jeff, this is, and I think part of this move also, although they did take the dog here, all right, I mean, home team. Now, Tony Muskett is questionable for Virginia. It almost tells you a couple of things here that he's probably going to go if they're taking the 7 and the 6.5. But also the fact, look, it is still a step up for Madison, although Madison's a good team. Listen, there's nothing wrong with James Madison at all. But that's the reason for this move here. I think simply the other part is it's a better a take on the price too. When I mean by that is it's not like professionals. Professionals, one of the biggest differences between professional bettors and fans or casual bettors is that professionals bet prices. They bet numbers. They're not looking necessarily at Virginia here. They're looking at 7 points in a college game with a Power 5 school and the home dog here. Fans bet teams, professionals bet numbers.
Total very low in this one. We have a lower total a little bit later, though, in the Cyhawk, as we'll get to.
40 for this total, and it actually got bet under from 41.
Yeah.
This looks like a total from the Redskins-Giants game in 1982.
Right, that's 313 and 314. James Madison 6-point favorites game kicking off at the top of the hour. All right, this is a big mover here, Vinny.
Yeah.
Purdue at Virginia Tech. Purdue actually is now favored in a few faraway places.
Mm-hmm.
It is a pick in one other shop in town.
Yep.
Virginia Tech still a 1-point favorite here behind us here at the South Point with a total of 49. You know, this is an interesting one. Virginia Tech actually covered the number last week against Old Dominion in a revenge spot from last year. And Purdue lost outright at home to Fresno State. So it's an interesting move here with the Sharps coming in, and really everyone coming in and betting Purdue late here.
Yeah, this one, this is our first, this one along with the aforementioned Nebraska-Colorado decision. This won't rival that decision, but it's certainly going to be a pretty good decision here when you consider that this game is headed now to pick after opening with the Virginia Tech as a 3-point favorite. 49, the total holding pretty steady. But again, this one here, you're probably going to see pick real soon. In fact, right before I came on the air, I was chatting with Chris Andrews, director here at the South Point, and we're looking at this, and there were considerable bets coming in on Purdue, not only for the game on the money line, but also the first half. So it's all about Purdue in this one in the eyes of the bettors. And this is a game I talked about how professionals and casual bettors are on opposite sides of that Colorado and Nebraska game. This one's a pretty unified approach here. Everybody seems to be
everyone's on the Boilers.
Everybody's on the Boilermakers here. And again, one headed to pick real soon.
I may go contrarian and just take the pick on Virginia Tech when it gets there.
Did you take 3?
No, I didn't take anything.
Okay.
I thought 3 was right based off my number, based off the way that I go about it. But man, Purdue's offense did look good last week. That was not the issue. Is their defense couldn't get a stop when it needed it last week.
Maybe you like the total here.
Total has been bet down. 49.
You like the over?
Now. This kind of feels like if it's
I'm a sale. Here's
the thing with me. If you like Virginia Tech, you like this thing under. If you like Purdue, you like this thing
based
over.
on what you just said about their offense.
Yeah, Purdue's offense is not an issue. It's their defense, which is again Ryan Walters, the defensive guy, will get it right at some point there in West Lafayette. But yeah, I'm staying. I'm probably going to stay out of it. This is one of those where also Purdue gets up early. In-game numbers you're going to be getting a bunch of points with Virginia Tech. Maybe the route to go. All right.
By the way, in real time, we just went over that other game a little while ago. I'm sorry. No,
James Madison?
Madison just went to 6.5.
Okay, so James Madison back. So Virginia back up. You're getting the hook again at 6.5 if you want to take the Cavs at home against James Madison. All right. One last little wrap back around on Colorado and Nebraska here. 317, 318. Huskers at Buffs. Vinny, you guys just went back to 2.5.
Yeah.
On Colorado, total just moved also to 56.5 as well.
Yeah, that's a big drop on this total. And again, I think what we're seeing here is support. Now, this is more professional money here on this one with the experienced bettors taking what they perceive as value with Nebraska, right? 3, a key number in football, more so in the pros than it is in college. Although it's it's important. And then the other part here is we're betting Nebraska on the money line as well. So plus 20, plus a quarter, plus 125. But this one did come down. But I can tell you this one is pros against Joes. We hear that term. The casual fans are all over the Buffs. You'll hear a lot more noise
when Colorado's moving the ball today behind
doing something good. But right now, just down to 2.5. We'll probably see 3 before kickoff.
He's Vinny Magliulo. I'm Jeff Parles. This is Sports by the Book. here at the South Point Studio, authentic sports talk. When we get back, we're going to go to Waco, Utah, and Baylor in a future Big 12 matchup, and plenty more on the second Saturday of college football here on Sports by the Book.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone. And if you're craving a taste of Italy, come experience delicious Italian cuisine and the attentive service at Don Vito's. Our culinary team starts with the freshest ingredients and transforms them into traditional favorites. And don't forget Italian desserts. Don Vito's. Savor the taste of Italy. Finally, if sushi is more your style, join us at the popular Zenshin Asian restaurant and sushi bar, where we're serving up the freshest sashimi, nigiri, and sushi rolls. And beyond the sushi, an exciting contemporary Asian cuisine menu, plus a variety of specialty drinks, Japanese and domestic beer, wine, and sake. Balance your hunger with Zenshin.
Welcome back into Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio, authentic sports talk. I'm Jeff Parles, Vinny Magliulo alongside, of course, the Hall of Famer himself, legend of the bookmaking game, the odd-making game, Vinny. Is that okay?
You know, I'm pretty humble. I know it's Gone Gaming Sportsbook Director, palling around with my buddies, Jimmy Vaccaro and Chris Andrews here at the South Point. There we go.
I will tell you, with spending more time around you guys over the last week or so, I always knew Jimmy was a riot.
But
what the man is the most entertaining person I think I've ever been around.
Oh, I have to tell you, one of the best parts of this job. I mean, we listen. We're watching games, we're booking games, we're making prices on games. We're in a very exciting environment at a great property here at the South Point. But I get to hang around with my friends for 45 years, and you've heard us, we tell stories, we reminisce. You'll see a game, or you see you see a color analyst, all right, or a coach, and you start having flashbacks of a game that you booked with those guys, and everything. So you're going to see and hear. That's a show, watching us behind the scenes.
That's the South Point Studio plus, right?
That's right. Right? Soon to be,
for sure. All right, let's get back into it. Noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific in Waco, 11 local time. It's going to be a hot one down in Texas for Baylor and Utah. Future conference matchup, Vinny.
Future conference matchup, Jeff. And, of course, Baylor looking to get – but Baylor, the shocker, probably the shocker of last week, right?
Yeah, so quarterback injury in this game. Chapin's not going to play. It's going to be the backup Robertson for Baylor here. But the Bears have taken some money this morning at another sports book. They took my money on Baylor last night at 7.5. Down to 7 right now with the Bears getting it at home. Low total as well, 45.5. Not much of a shock there. Battle of backup quarterbacks because, of course, still no Cam Rising off that ACL tear in the Rose Bowl. It's going to be Barnes yet again for the Utes.
Yeah, we just went to 7 here at the South Point, Jeff, off the 7.5. The game opened at 6, so it was bet up I think that maybe had to do with the fact that maybe some folks early on when we put these numbers up on Monday thought that Cam Rising might play.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's not going to play, so they laid 6. I mean, we got as high as 8 on this game, rather quickly. So now just went to 7. Up the ladder, you come back down the ladder. We know that both starting quarterbacks are out, but this is a game here where overall two-way action. But that was again a byproduct of just the once the quarterback situation was confirmed.
Yeah, I'm in the camp of, and we'll get to another Pac-12 Big 12 matchup a little later, where yes, it is a little bit different with a backup in for Baylor, but a team is never as bad as they look one week, and they're never as good as they look when they're at their best.
Yeah, that's a good point you bring up, and I know when we talk about the NFL later on, on other shows on Sunday, and things like that. The biggest thing folks do, casual bettors do, is overreact from one week to the next, especially in the early season. So, but you do want to certainly pay attention to what transpired previously. Do a little bit of a look ahead, see what's happening, what's coming up. But again, in this case here, you also have to pay attention to the fact that 2 backup quarterbacks are starting this game. So there's a lot of factors to consider. Do your homework and do your research. And if you don't have time to do it, seek good opinions that you respect to do that. Listen, I don't mind, and shop numbers. I have no problem with that.
That's important. It may
sound a little contrarian here. That you would say, Vinny, why would you? Because I know this. If you shop numbers, you're still going to find something that you like here.
Yeah.
And and the fact that how we establish numbers and how we provide numbers and straddle, the odds. Again, you're never going to have to lay on a number of more than $1.10. Some people like that. You're gonna find fair pricing. So be consistent as operators, and you know what? Let people shop, because the more they shop, the more they're still going to come to your place.
100%. And I will say this again, and like I said, overreaction from week 1 to week 2, it happens every year.
Yes.
Happens in college football, happens in the NFL. And just taking it, and for me, this was just taking advantage of what I thought was a little bit of an overreaction. And I was stunned at the lack of physicality from Baylor's defense a week ago against Texas State. Aranda's a defensive guy. I would expect that defense to look a lot better today than they did a week ago.
No excuse really for Baylor, right? I mean, you think about it, and it's still an in-state school too, right? Let's face it. It's what do you
can't lose. You can't lose that game. Can't lose that game. Especially can't lose it by double digits.
And again, in looking ahead, especially what's going on with these conferences and these conference realignments and things like that, right? So in terms of recruiting, so no excuse there.
Let's go to a late game here. Talking about it because the rotation number has it earlier in the rotation. 321, 322. That's Arizona State hosting Oklahoma State. So, Vinny, both of these teams have big-time quarterback issues. Backup going for Arizona State yet again. Oklahoma State has a collection of 3 quarterbacks. The old saying is when you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. I don't even know what that would be for when you have 3 quarterbacks. The third quarterback, Gunnar Gundy, last week was actually the best of the 3 for Oklahoma State in a pretty lackadaisical win against Central Arkansas. Vinny, this has been bet down. I'm not surprised by this. This was, you guys opened 4.5 on this game. It's now down to 2.5 with Oklahoma State laying it on the road in Tempe. The total's actually really stood pretty pat. Only has gone up a half point from 53 to 53.5.
Yeah, we actually went. This total got as high. In the week, got bet up. And again, listen. Sometimes this is a classic game. We listen. We're talking about a lot of games. You don't have to bet every game. You don't have to bet a lot of games.
No, you don't.
There's something for everybody. This is a game too where you really may want to look at the end game. We mentioned in the first segment about in progress wagering. Well, this is an example where maybe you take a pass because of the uncertainties at quarterback. You might get a couple of snaps today. Given,
I hope not. But I don't think I have any eligibility left. I could go back to grad school if I needed to.
Aren't you in the transfer portal? Isn't everybody? But seriously, you have an opportunity here as bettors to take a look at this. And look, look, the other part is you mentioned an important part, the time of this game. So these are late games here.
This is the chase game.
So when I say that, these are the games where everybody, you what kind of day did you have? Did you have a really good day? Did you have a poor day? Are you pushing? Well, look, and the other thing is it's on TV. So look, it's a little bit of impulse buying maybe, but with that impulse buying also comes the ability to have the in progress, watch what's happening, and maybe you make your decision then.
2.5 right now, Oklahoma State laying it on the road at Arizona State. I did take a little bit of 3.5 earlier in the week. I didn't get the best of it with Arizona State, but
you got a better number that's there.
I got a better number than's out there right now, and
good.
I don't anticipate this moving back to 3.5 at all. It could toggle back to 3, maybe, but I would doubt it at this point.
We're not going to get back to the opener.
No, there's no way getting back. Well, no way getting back to the opener. I know that for sure. Let's go keep it out west. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 local at Snapdragon Stadium in San Diego. The Aztecs hosting UCLA. Vinny, 13.5 right now on the Bruins. Total 49. San Diego State really wasn't overly impressive either these first 2 weeks. A win against Idaho State last week. An FCS school. Ohio's quarterback doesn't get hurt. They probably lose that game at home.
Probably.
In week 0. UCLA wasn't overly impressive, though, last week against Coastal Carolina either, though.
No, I mean, the Pac, as impressive overall as the Pac-12 was, UCLA was certainly not in the upper half of that, right? So, but this is actually overall a pretty good two-way betting game. 13 on the opener, got as high as 14.5 midweek. So a lot of support early for UCLA, Jeff, but now come down. They took the 14.5, took 14. We're down to 13.5, as you mentioned. 49 on the total, pretty much holding steady. A little bit of under money early on, but this is overall pretty good two-way betting game so far.
Let's keep it out west again, Vinny. Pac-12, Big Ten. This is a revenge game for Wisconsin. Wazoo went into Madison last year, won outright, and now the return trip up to the Pacific Northwest for the Badgers. Wisconsin's a 5.5-point favorite behind us here at the South Point. Total is 58. A new look offense for Wisconsin. Took them a while to get going last week against Buffalo. Wazoo, pretty impressive last week, going to Fort Collins and really handling their business in a game where a lot of sharp bettors were on the Rams a week ago. Yeah,
there was support for the Mountain West last week, and you know what? Some of them got
worked,
there, some didn't. You know, but okay, but still taking note, right? But you mentioned it, a revenge game here, new coaching philosophy with Fickell now in Madison, and he's going to have this team ready. But so far, two-way betting here laying 5.5 with Wisconsin, taking 6 when we do get there. They laid the 5.5 when we put the number up on Monday. So we got to 6. They took the 6, and now 5.5. So overall, a pretty good two-way betting game.
Yeah, I have nothing in this one, Vinny. If you made me play it, I would play Wisconsin. Just revenge spot. Even though, again, I was fairly impressed with what Wazoo did.
Yeah, again, it's an opportunity.
Good
here.
in-game game.
Do you pass or do you say wait? You know, and take a look at what you see in that first quarter.
How about a local angle here, Vinny? UNLV goes to the big house. Michigan has multiple head coaches in this game because of the suspension of Harbaugh. His son will coach the first half. Mike Hart will coach the second half. You don't.
I don't understand. Listen. You have a staff. I get it, but really, if you're going to do it, you got to announce it. What is that? We just talked about it. You know, we got one team with 3 quarterbacks. We got another team here with 5 head coaches.
Yes. 5 head coaches in 4 weeks.
What's going on?
Let's look at this. UNLV Barry. I will say again, I spent time in Columbia, Missouri when Barry Odom was the head coach of the Tigers. Now here in Vegas, coaching UNLV. I hope Barry succeeds. I really do. Again, the guy who probably was not ready for the moment when he got the Missouri job to be a Power 5 head coach. Now at a UNLV program that made progress last year, winning 5 games, just being short of a bowl game. This would be monumental if they pulled the upset today. They're 38-point underdogs. The total 58. Another one of those correlated games, Vinny.
Yeah.
Where, again, I didn't love what Michigan did last week against ECU. They were methodical. They kind of went through the motions. One big, didn't cover. UNLV really put it on Bryant a week ago, but again, an FCS school.
Well, here, listen. This number is at 38. It didn't start there. I mean,
no, it did not.
It started lower. They laid 36.
Laid
37.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, I get it. You bring up the point about UNLV, and just from a local perspective here. Listen, the thing that I think has UNLV certainly improving, right, is the fact that they're playing when their home games are now
Raiders Stadium,
Allegiant Stadium, where the Raiders play. Obviously, they changed out the surface with that facility, but it was difficult to get top flight recruits here. Why? Because Sam Boyd Stadium is on the outskirts of the city, and you would have recruits flying in. And when for the folks that have visited here in Las Vegas, especially when you're flying in the evening, you see all the lights, you see the Strip. We're right close to the airport here at the South Point. On the Strip, and you're looking at all this excitement, everything like that. Oh yeah, let's go look at the facility. And the campus is in the middle of town. Okay, but Sam Boyd is 30 miles outside of town.
Might as well have been in Boulder City.
And it was just an antiquated facility. So it was that I think is going to change. The conference realignment, however this takes place, I think it's going to be a plus for UNLV. However it shakes out. And the fact that, look, now, a monumental task here, absolutely, going to Michigan. But if you want to improve as a program, you have to play these games. Credit Coach Odom for doing it.
That's 331 and 332 in your rotation numbers. Michigan, 38-point favorites against UNLV, 58 the total, 12:30 here in Vegas for the kickoff. Hey, CBS for that one too, no less.
That's right.
There we go. CBS Rebels for the Big Ten on CBS. Here's a big mover, Vinny, this next game. 3:30 local time in Miami for this one, 12:30 Pacific time. Texas A&M at the Hurricanes. Game last year in College Station was a really ugly one that A&M won and covered. This has been all Hurricane action here. Yes. Impressive a week ago and really thumping Miami of Ohio on a Friday night. You guys opened 4. The market, there were some 5 out there at the beginning taken immediately, up to 4.5 quickly, and now has been all Cane action over the last 3 days.
Yeah.
Down to 3 now with a total of 50.5, which, Vinny, has moved only one time at your shop the entire week.
We really haven't had too much action on the total just yet, Jeff. 50.5. We opened at 51, so just a little taste to the under here. But all about the Canes. And people were impressed with them last week. I think I look at this Texas A&M team, and I think people who want or are going to back them, they want to have validation. They're wanting more out of Jimbo Fisher's team, and there's no excuse now, right? I mean, he's been there long enough. These are all his recruits.
It's all 5-star recruits.
This is a situation where I think we're seeing again another revenge factor game. I think people more impressed with Miami last week and taking show me what you can do, Jimbo, with Texas A&M. So. Right now, all about the Hurricanes here, and that's we're going to need Texas A&M in this one.
Let's go to the Cyhawk. 335, 336 in your rotation number. The lowest total of the week, Vinny. Almost eclipsed by Air Force and Sam Houston State, by the way, but not quite yet. Iowa State, 36 now the total on this one. Iowa down to a 3.5-point favorite, so the people are taking the Cyclones here at home. In a game that Iowa scored 24 points last week, though, Vinny.
Yeah, that's a big move for them offensively. But yeah, no real surprise here. I mentioned the low total earlier, right? That looked like a Giants Redskins total from 1982. This one, this one looks to be of the same ilk almost. But here's the thing. You got a rivalry game here, and obviously an in-state rivalry. These two teams, typically they're close games, right? And, they recruit each other. There's recruiting implications here. these rivalry games tend to draw a lot of business. And, where I talk about shopping, if you have the ability to have outs in other places, you got a cousin or somebody in Iowa where sports wagering is legal too. Certainly talk to your relatives, but certainly seriously here 3.5, 4 lane. They took the 4 with the home dog. Not really surprising.
All I'm going to tell you is if there's an early touchdown in this game and this total touches the 40s, I can guarantee you right now I'm going under.
You're going to get back in game with this one.
Well, that's one of those where it's like, hey, beat me, go ahead. If you beat me, if you get into the 40s in this game, so be it. But that's how I'm going to win.
You're not going to bet under.
Now,
yeah.
I missed the best of it. If I was going to bet this under, I needed to do it earlier in the
36.
week. Yeah, 36 and 17-3, 17-10.
Could see it.
Probably right in this one. All right, one last one. SMU, Oklahoma. Sooners put 73 on Arkansas State a week ago. SMU, I know they covered, but a bunch of weird things had to happen in that game in order for them to win as easily as they did against La Tech. This was 17. Now it's 16.5. Oklahoma laying it. Again, totals only moved once from 68.5 to 69.5.
They took 17. Play on the number down to 16 here. And again, it may go up. Public may drive this one up. It's a 3:00 Pacific start, Jeff. But this total still climbing. 68 on the opener, approaching 70.
Yeah, both of these offenses quite good a week ago. Again, I just don't know what you can even take out of Oklahoma's win last week against just ridiculously overmatched team in Arkansas State. Superior talent for the Sooners, of course, a week ago. He's Vinny Magliulo. I'm Jeff Parles. This is Sports by the Book, previewing the Week 2 card in college football here at the South Point studio. When we come back, we're going to the Deep South, Vinny, a big one in New Orleans. Ole Miss at Tulane, and, of course, the biggest game of the day, Texas and Alabama. We preview them next here on Sports by the Book.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books. 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza, plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the race book, over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
Welcome back to the South Point studio. It is Sports by the Book. I'm Jeff Parles. Vinny Magliulo with us right now as well. Getting you ready for the second full Saturday of college football. Don't worry, we're going to be back tomorrow. Week 1 NFL. We can't wait for it. 9 to 10 Pacific time in the morning, getting you right up to kickoff for Week 1 of the National Football League. And boy, we have been waiting all summer long for that. So we'll have a great show for you tomorrow here on Sports by the Book. Vinny, let's get back into the college slate, though. Let's go to New Orleans and really the game that has been circled all off season long for the Green Wave. Mississippi, the Rebs come into town. Right now, Vinny, Tulane, after a fairly impressive performance last week against South Alabama. South Alabama was a big-time sharp side a week ago. Tulane covered all numbers. They're up to 8-point underdogs at home now against Ole Miss. This total has bounced around a little bit, settling right now at 64.
Yeah, this originally, so this game opened 7, and then early in the week it got bet up to 7.5, then back to 7. So, but now you're seeing more Mississippi money coming in, right, Jeff? So we're sitting at 8 right now. The total on this one at 64 has come down. Again, it went up from 60, the opener of 65, approached 67, and now down to 64. So right now it's about Mississippi and the under. So, but this one's a good look. This too. Let's look at the evolution here too of some of these non-Power 5 schools, particularly a team like Tulane.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you look at even a few years ago. This is a double-digit game.
They were one of the worst. They were horrible before
this was,
Willie Fritz
this
got
is
there.
probably closer to a 2-touchdown
maybe
game,
even 17.
So 2.5. So you're looking at a big difference here, and credit to the program down at Tulane for sure.
Yeah, you know what? This thing keeps climbing. I might be obliged to take a little bit of Tulane if this thing keeps rising up to 8 behind us and market wide on the wave at home against Ole Miss. All right, Vinny, this is another one of those. A team is never as good as they show in 1 week, and a team is never as bad as they show in 1 week. And this is one of the biggest sharp positions of the entire week. Texas Tech hosting Oregon. We know what happened to Texas Tech a week ago. They go to Laramie. They get up 17-0 on Wyoming.
Right.
They end up losing the game outright in overtime. Oregon put a program record 81 points on Portland State a week ago. And, Vinny, this opened here at the South Point at 7 on this one. Opened 6.5.
6.5.
6.5. There was some 7.
There was 7s
in
in other places, yeah.
But you guys opened 6.5.
Right.
Yesterday went to 6. Now this morning back to 6.5.
Right.
With Oregon laying it. This total is 69. Vinny, Texas Tech is already in the account at 6.5 for me. This is just the classic. Like I said,
it was a look-ahead spot last week.
It was a look-ahead spot last week for Texas Tech.
Yeah.
I'm high on the Red Raiders. I like their offense. They lacked adjustments against a well-coached team in Wyoming a week ago. And let's face it, Laramie's a really difficult place to play.
No question.
And this feels like a one-score game where Texas Tech is able to hang in and may end up winning the game outright against the Ducks.
When you look at it last week, this week, I think for a good part of the season, that it's almost like the Mountain West is auditioning to be more relevant and to become a more relevant
Mountain 12.
I mean, a more relevant conference, right? You're going to see some movement, and there was a lot of respect last week for the Mountain West schools in terms of the professional bettors, and understandably so. Again, in this particular case, a look-ahead spot, right, for Texas Tech last week. Although they certainly faltered, as you mentioned. Oregon, a lot of speed here, more movement to the total. You mentioned it. We're up to 69. We'll probably, this is a 4 o'clock Pacific start, Jeff. You're probably going to see 70 by the time this game kicks off. This game is already up 2 points from the opener. In fact, I think it might open even lower than our 67 in a couple of places. But this one will be a fun one to watch. And I think if you blink, you might miss a score. So, but you mentioned it. They're laying. They took the 6.5, and they're laying the 6. So overall, pretty good two-way betting action.
This is 359, 360 on your betting card for this one. 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 local time here in Vegas. Texas Tech 6.5-point underdogs at home against Oregon. All right, let's keep it in the Pac-12. Here on the road again, Arizona at Mississippi State. Vinny, you guys have the Bulldogs as 9-point home favorites with a total of 59 on this one.
Yep. This one opened at 60, opened 10.5. So value with Arizona.
Cats.
Listen, Arizona, one of the Pac-12 schools. The conference went undefeated last week. Obviously, I don't think that's going to happen this week, but they're stepping out. This week, you've got games against the Big 12. You've got games against, here's one against an SEC school. So I think people realize that And I don't think it was a fluke. I think the Pac-12 is better than we thought. It's better rated than we thought. But this is a game here where points were at a premium in terms of the betting. You're getting double digits initially at 10.5. People took 10, and now we're down to 9 with Mississippi State.
Pac-12, they're going out with a bang. I thought this was the best the league has looked on paper going into the year, into a season in a very long time. And like you said, the only Power 5 conference to go undefeated a week ago.
Yep.
In week 1, and they won't do it again this week. But hey, at least you can say going out with the best they've ever been in that conference as a 12-team league with the Pac-12. Again, Arizona 9-point dogs at Mississippi State. One more before we get to the big one in Tuscaloosa, Vinny. This is 381, 382 on your card. Central Florida, Boise State. Boy, Boise State looked okay for about a quarter and a half, and then the wheels came off in Seattle a week ago against Washington. Central Florida just overwhelming Kent State a week ago. Central Florida is a 3.5-point favorite here at the South Point on the road on the blue turf with a total of 59.5, Vinny, which, by the way, you guys have the market high right now on that total.
Yeah, we actually this game went all the way up to almost 61. We opened at 57.5. Now we're at 59.5, 3.5, holding steady, pretty steady with Central Florida as the 3.5-point road favorite. I think there'll be a response here by Boise, and I think as we get closer to kickoff that we'll see some Boise money in this one.
All right, the big one, Tuscaloosa, Texas, Alabama. Vinny, we saw this game a year ago. Sticking to what I said at the time of the game last year, Quinn Ewers stayed healthy. Texas would have won that game in Austin against Alabama. Bryce Young Magic at the end bailed out the Tide. It was an easy cover for the Horns. Now, scene shifts to Brian Denny. Alabama is a 7-point favorite here at the South Point with a total of 53.5. Texas is the better quarterback in this game. You could even argue that Texas has the better roster as a whole. But in the end, it's still Nick Saban against Steve Sarkisian.
Well, if you look at the edges, you can't discount the coaching matchup, right? But you hit on a key point, the quarterback situation here. Let's remember this, that the question for Alabama coming into the season was at quarterback, right?
Yeah.
That hasn't been the case for quite some time.
Their last 4 quarterbacks are all in the NFL now.
Well, listen, here's the thing. Here's the big statement that Chris Andrews and I took note of, especially when we were making our games of the year. I've got to say that when Nick Saban goes out after the spring game and signs another quarterback, right, out of the transfer portal, that tells you he was concerned. I think he's still concerned, but right now I can tell you this: great two-way betting game. We haven't gotten off to 7 in this game. The total hasn't moved that much. It's down a point at 53.5. This is a terrific betting game. There are certain games in college that get bet like pro games. This is one of them.
Is this the highest handled game of the day, or is Colorado, Nebraska actually?
I think this one will surpass it because a lot more will be going to it, and the fact that Nebraska and Colorado is a 9 o'clock Pacific start, and this one's a 4 o'clock.
7 right now, 53.5 the total. This is 383, 384 on your betting card. 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock local here in Vegas. All right, 2 more to get to before we get out of here, Vinny. Stanford and USC. Stanford won and covered last week in Hawaii. USC's offense has been incredible through 2 weeks. Caleb Williams looking like he deserves a second straight Heisman. USC is a 29-point favorite. Total is 69.5, Vinny. This is just one of those where USC's defense still is poor and USC's offense is awesome. It may just be blind overs for me, regardless of how high those totals are on USC games until further notice.
69.5, 70 on the total. You mentioned it again. This will be one of the higher scoring games of the day. 29. It was a take on the total, right? 30.
Yeah.
By the way, these are the only 2 Pac-12 schools that are playing each other, right? Everybody else has got an interconference game. So, but just, what can you say, right? SC is going to score. Question is, can they stop anybody? So probably the total is we're going to see probably more action on the total overall.
49-30. That gets it done.
Yeah.
That gets it done pretty easily. I would take that right now. That would be a nice cover for Stanford as well.
Dogging over.
Dogging over makes a whole lot of sense to me. All right, last one here, Vinny. Auburn, Cal. Questions at quarterback for Cal going in. But, Vinny, this game's getting bet like Cal's going to be at pretty close to full strength here in this one. Down to 4.5 on Auburn. Going to Berkeley tonight. Total 55. This is the last one on your rotation. 393 and 394.
Yep. The game did open 6 with Jackson questionable at quarterback for California, but all indications are now. I mean, they're betting it like he's going to play, and if he doesn't, if there's a late announcement he won't, you'll see this one go back up the ladder. But open 6 down to 4.5, 55 for the total, holding pretty steady.
Vinny, you ready to go for today?
I'm ready. Let's
ready.
go.
I'm ready too. I'm ready too. All the best games there, and of course you have a whole betting menu behind us here at the South Point Sportsbook. Vinny has his sheets all ready to go. Just go to the wall and go get them yourselves. We're going to be back tomorrow.
NFL.
Week 1, NFL. Lions, of course, upset the Chiefs on Thursday, so already knocked out a whole bunch of parlays right away.
Go get the cash today and reload right here at the South Point. That's right.
Absolutely. He's Vinny Magliulo. I'm Jeff Parles. This has been Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. Go get your bets in. You still got a few minutes before the games get going at 9 o'clock local time here in Vegas. Until next time, we'll see you here at the South Point studio on Sports by the Book.